Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about the top 5 reasons why a mountain biker should get a gravel bike with big fat tires. And these are things you can consider. So obviously I outfitted my gravel bike with these big 700 by 50C tires. So the first reason is I think you will like gravel bikes if they have big tires. And so that's the first reason. Second reason is you may not always want to be on a mountain bike trail mountain biking. Hold on, my earphone's falling out. And you may want to go longer distance in the dirt, and a gravel bike will take you there if you go fast, and you can even get some decent traction. And you have to skid, you can skid, but it'll get you there a lot faster and be something that you can take further if you happen to be going on some pavement and have a headwind. That's kind of a long one, but that's the second reason. Third reason is I think you're going to really like the feel of a gravel bike with the bigger tires, because it doesn't feel like a super stiff mountain bike with skinny tires. I mean, it doesn't feel like a super stiff road bike with skinny tires. It's a completely different feel. It actually sucks up the little cracks in the road. It just feels better. It's not a super stiff ride where you feel every little tiny pebble in the road, and it's such a harsh ride. It's a softer ride, and as mountain bikers, we're used to something that feels softer, that doesn't feel so harsh on us. 4, I think it's good for you to keep pedaling on days when you just don't have a chance to go for a mountain bike ride. So now you're going to have something that you could do your mountain bike on the streets. There's no problem with that. But now you'll have something that if you are going just on the streets and just going to go for a ride around your neighborhood, just want to go from your driveway, and maybe some of you are not like me where you live really close to the mountains, and every time you're going to mountain bike you're going to have to go take a 10-mile ride or something in your car, or longer, or whatever. It's something that you could do on your gravel bike and go for those longer distance rides, or maybe go for those combo rides where you go 10 miles 15 miles away from your home, then go into your mountain bike riding. And you could choose the gearing that's appropriate for something like that, but it's something that you could easily mix in to doing something like that, doing that combo of a long approach ride, if you will, to a mountain bike ride. Maybe it's more of a easier trail. And 5, if you're riding blues and greens, I would say 90% of those trails that I've seen could be ridden on a gravel bike. And I'm going to ride some sections today and show you those sections on the little trails that go around here. And I would consider them equivalent to what I see some guys posting on their Instagram or on their social media, calling them blues and greens and whatever city you live in, but that's what you call them there. They're pretty woodsy type flat trails, maybe leaf cover trails or brown dirt type trails, not too many rocks or roots or anything like that. They could easily be done on a gravel bike. Matter of fact, I think you could replace a lot of your rides that you do on your mountain bike when you come to think about it, thinking, man, I could just do that on a gravel bike. I don't need a trail bike I don't even need a hardtail with 130mm fork. It's too easy for that. And just depending, I guess, I mean, tight turns, maybe a little bit more to navigate with a gravel bike, but they're doable. Gravel bikes are not that much longer than a full suspension. I mean, they're not longer than a full suspension mountain bike, that's for sure, but they're not that much longer than a hardtail because they're really steep. Now, those are the 5 reasons. Now, let me give you a little advice too. If you are going to buy a gravel bike and you're a mountain biker, these are things you should really consider. You need to consider that you want to get one that's going to have clearance for bigger tires. When I started getting into gravel bike, that was one of the first things I looked at. Will it clear 700 by 40 or 700 by 45? And my first bike was not a custom bike like you see me with now, but my first bike was a Twin 6, and it was called the Rando or something like that. Rando or the Gravel, but it didn't fit me. I think it was basically when gravel biking was too new, and they sized gravel bikes and they made gravel bikes basically exactly like road bikes and didn't take into account that gravel bikes are going to have these big old tires, and the standover is going to be definitely affected by that. So it was all of them, the sizing I thought was off. And even if I got the extra small, which they didn't have at the time, it would have been, I was looking at the seat tube length and it was just still stupid long for a gravel bike. So anyway, that's when I thought, well, if I'm going to get custom, I might as well get something I know. So I got something I know. Anyway, those are my first advice. The other advice is don't be set on getting a 1x. 2x's are fine on gravel. I think 2x's, if you're going to make a 2x quiver and you're going to have one bike being a mountain bike and then the other bike being everything else bike, road and gravel and commuter and whatever, then get a 2x. And my first gravel bike was a 2x, and I'll never give that bike up. I love having a 2x. It's a broader range of gearing. The only other thing I would think of that would make sense if you really want to get ahead of the crowd is I would get a pinion. Get one of those pinion gearbox ones. The only thing that I hesitate about a pinion right now, I think their technology is still a little bit new, but at least they're electric, so you don't have those awkward cables that are like this cable system that's really heavy and really heavy duty. So now they have the newer electric ones, so that makes a lot of sense. But I do think they're about 2 years away from making a lightweight e-pinion. Well, not a e-bike, but a electronically operated pinion. So that's another topic. But get a 2x. It's my first advice. Wait for the pinion. Or the second advice, get something that clears big tires, and then get something that has gravel handlebars for sure. Don't get in gravel geometry. Gravel geometry for adventure. I would say, because they kind of have two genres. They have gravel geometry that's that is for racing, and then they have gravel geometry that's more for adventure. So the adventure gravel geometry is a higher stack height and a little bit longer reach, but it's made and some of them are even slacker now. This one I forced them to do a 69.5 head tube angle. Of course, you can go very extreme and get those gravel bikes like the Chamois Hanger from Evil, and that gravel bike has definitely super slack. And there's a couple other ones. I think Noli makes a gravel frame or a full gravel bike that's super slack. There's a couple companies that make them super slack, so those are other considerations. So anyway, I'm going to stop my video right here, and then my next video will be the little trail I do back here.